Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome to the School of Philosophy, Psychology and Language Sciences. Wherever you're from, whether you're from the other side of the world, the other side of Europe, the other side of the border with England, the other side of Scotland, or indeed the other side of our local park, the Meadows. I'm Holly Brannigan, I'm the head of school, and I'm very, very happy to welcome you to our community. And I'm joined today by other members of the school, including Mitz, our postgraduate teaching director, who will be talking later in this presentation, Alastair, our deputy postgrad director, and Katie, Tony, Becky and Henry from our postgraduate office, who you will have a chance to see photos of later in the talk, maybe see their faces as well, and Megan from our office team, who's helping with the slides. So the purpose of this meeting is to give you a brief introduction to the school, give us all a chance to get to know each other, including a chance for you to get to know other students on your programme and other programmes in the school, and for us to give you some information about the support available to you, and to answer any questions that you might have. So what we want to start off by finding out is, where is everyone from? The poll will only actually let us give 5 options, so we've had to put Africa and Oceania together. So if you vote, in a moment, I'll show you the responses and you can see where everybody else in the call is. So we've had about 130 responses so far. We've got another 30 people about to tell us where they are from. If you haven't yet voted, there is still time to vote. Got about 20 people still trying to decide where they're from. Okay, the number of people who voted is slowly going up, and the number who haven't voted is going down. We're down to about 15 people who haven't told us where they're from yet. So let's show you the responses. So we've got about 40 people joining us from the UK, 40 people from the rest of Europe, about 25 people from North and South America, nearly 50 from Asia, and 2 from Africa and Oceania. So welcome to you all. I'm really glad that you're able to join us today, and I appreciate some of you are joining us late in the day, some of you are joining us early in the day. Very glad you could join us. So the next question I want to ask you is, are you currently in Edinburgh? So click on the poll, and in a moment I'll show you everybody's responses. And you can tell me in the chat box to the right exactly where you're from. So if you're from Bristol or Brisbane or Beijing or Buffalo, put it in the chat box and we'll be able to see. Saskatoon. Guys, I can see lots of interesting places coming past. So let me show you what everybody else in the poll is saying. Hi to all of you. It's great to see so many people from all over the place. So this is where people currently are. We've got about 85 people who are currently in Edinburgh and 70 people who are not currently in Edinburgh. So I, as I just said, actually am in Edinburgh at the moment. Here's Edinburgh, and I am about here. So that is the Dugald-Stewart building, which is one of the PPLS buildings, and I'm sitting on the 7th floor of the Dugald-Stewart building at the moment. So for those of you who are in Edinburgh, it's a lovely sunny day at the moment, which is very unusual. For the rest of you, I hope you've got good weather wherever you are. So as I said, this is a chance to welcome you all to the School of Psychology, Philosophy, Psychology and Language Sciences, or PPLS as we normally call it. It's much easier to say. And PPLS is a community that brings together people who share an interest in exploring questions that are related to philosophy, psychology and language and cognitive sciences, and staff who support our learning, teaching and research on these questions. And of course, when we say people who are interested in exploring these questions, that includes you. So within this community, each of you is going to be especially closely associated with staff and students who are specifically interested in philosophy, psychology, linguistics, or cognitive science, depending on which program you're studying on. But I think what you'll find is you're likely to have a lot in common with other PPLS students and staff too, because they're very closely related subjects in many respects. And I'm actually quite a good example of this. So my undergraduate degree was in linguistics. My MSc and PhD were in cognitive science, and I'm now a professor in psychology. So I've actually studied in 3 of our 4 areas. So this is a chance for all of us to get to know each other. It's a chance for you to get to know specifically, not just students on your own program, but other students across PPLS more generally who may have similar interests to your own. Whichever subject you've come here to study, welcome to you all. We're looking forward to getting to know you, and I'm sure you're looking forward to getting to know each other this year. So this is just the start of your journey with us. We hope it will be an exciting one, and we'll be here to support you all the way. Now, what I'd like to use is this meeting as an opportunity for everyone to get to know each other a bit. And as I said, for this, we're going to use menti.com. So I suggest that you go to menti.com, preferably on your phone, and enter the code, if you haven't already done so, 9332187. And that will let you join the interactive session. You might have to enter a username, just use anything you like. But again, the code is 9332187. So our first question here is, what program are you studying on? So we've got people studying for an MSc in philosophy, MSc in epistemology, ethics and mind, philosophy, science and religion, for an MSc in psychological research, for an MSc in linguistics or MSc in speech and language processing, for a master's by research in philosophy, psychology and linguistics, and for a PhD in philosophy, psychology or linguistics. So you can see here everybody else who's on programs related to your own. So you can see that most of the people who are on the call at the moment are doing the MSCs, but we've also got students who are like you, who are doing the Masters by Research, and we've got a fair number of PhD students joining us too. So what we want to do now is find out a bit more about what our new MSc PPLS postgrads are like. So for each question, choose or type your answer, and then you'll be able to see how other people have answered. Okay, first question. Did you have breakfast this morning? I see we have a bunch of people. Most people have had breakfast. You can see how the numbers are changing. Okay, the next question is, what did you have for breakfast? So just type in your answer. Okay, yes, I fully appreciate that for some people it's very early in the morning. Max has had toast. Oh, we've got some good Scottish answers here. So lots of people are saying porridge. So good Scottish food. Lots of people have had coffee. Even more people have had nothing. Oh, someone had salmon, Scottish salmon. I think a lot of you need to go and get something to eat. It looks like an awful lot of you have had nothing to eat this morning. So I also see that a fair number of you have had toast. That means that there's at least some of you that should already be grateful to the University of Edinburgh. The electric toaster was actually created by Alan McMaster, who is a University of Edinburgh graduate. So the University of Edinburgh has already done something for those of you who've had toast this morning. Okay, let's move on to another important question. Cats or dogs? Are you a cat person or a dog person? And you're not allowed to like both, I'm afraid. It's one or the other. Oh, it's fairly evenly split. Now, when we did this yesterday with the undergraduates, there was a definite cat vibe. But the skateboarding dachshund is clearly in the lead here. Some people are still voting. Okay, I think we can say with a fair degree of certainty that the PPLS postgraduate community is more in favour of dogs than they are of cats. All right, let's move on to another important question. Which do you prefer? Action movies, rom-com, sci-fi, or comedy? Okay, at the moment, we've got sci-fi and comedy slugging it out for supremacy. Yes, Mark, somebody also said horror yesterday. I'm afraid that's not an option we're offering. Alana also wants horror. Okay, this is also interesting. So with the undergraduates yesterday, sci-fi also came out the winner by a small margin. So we have a small but dedicated group of action movie and rom-com movie fans. But again, I think we can say that within our PPLS postgraduate community this year, sci-fi movies are winning it by a whisker. I agree, Walden Arrival was a great film. Who's seen Tenet? Has anybody seen it so far? Is it worth seeing? Go on, Gabrielle, what do you think? No? Okay. Ooh, controversy already. So people are, that should be one of our questions. Tenet, worth seeing or not? It's on my list of things to see. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Which of these things did you do during lockdown? Did you watch Tiger King? Did you make banana bread? Did you complete a home workout? Did you take part in a Zoom quiz? Did you just chill? And did you make a sourdough starter? And you can choose more than one and pick all that apply. We've clearly got a very healthy bunch of people, as well as people who just chilled. We've got a lot of people who did a home workout. Eric, I feel for you. Eric just worked. Fairly surprising number who made a sourdough starter. A sourdough starter, Alana, it's a kind of way of making bread using wild yeast. It takes a lot of time and effort, apparently. I've not tried it. Stephen Gardened, I'm with you on that one. Alistair made a sourdough starter from a kit. Alistair, does it work? I'm intrigued. I'd like to try it. Okay, I'm convinced. Alistair says it works. I'm going to have to try and get a sourdough starter from it. Or alternatively, I might just steal some of Alistair's. Will you share with me, Alistair? Thank you. I appreciate it. So we've got a fairly even split here in our new PPLS postgrad community between people who just chilled and people who completed a home workout. Of course, it could be the same people who both chilled and completed a home workout, given that you could do more than one. So I haven't seen Tiger King, but it's on my list. I've made banana bread, didn't do the home workout, I feel bad for that. Did take part in a Zoom quiz. I did just chill some of the time. I didn't make a sourdough starter yet, but we're coming up to that. Okay, next question. What's the weather like where you are today? Tim says it's dreary where he is. Lots of people are saying sunny. I don't know whether some of those people might be in Edinburgh. It has been sunny. Not quite so good at the moment. It's gone cloudy again. Some people are saying dreich, which is a good Scottish word, which means kind of grey and drizzly and overcast. Cloudy and sunny. That's Edinburgh today. Hot and mostly humid. That's definitely not Edinburgh. So I think overall, it looks like most people are somewhere where it is sunny. That's good. I think we all need vitamin D and good vibes at the moment. Okay, next question. Dreich is a great word, Gabrielle. I learnt it when I moved here. Which do you prefer? Instagram, Twitter, or neither? So it looks like Twitter is definitely moving. Yeah, I think Twitter is becoming outmoded. Reddit, says Samuel. Yeah, lots of people are saying Reddit. Okay, so I think most people are using other platforms. Twitter is definitely the one that's going out of fashion. How about our next question? Which of these activities would you enjoy most? Paddleboarding, reading a novel, mountain biking, watching Netflix, or baking a cake? Ashlyn is confused by all the people in the new students Facebook groups who are talking about Instagram group chats. Is that a thing? I'm afraid, yes, you are old. Apparently Facebook is so passe that it's now almost at the age of the dinosaurs. Instagram group chats are where it's all at, or so I have been told. Okay, so we've got lots of people who are into reading novels. We've got a fair number of people who are into watching Netflix. Fair number who like mountain biking. Scotland's quite good for that. Well, yeah, Ashlyn, I also thought that Instagram was for pictures, not chatting, but apparently it's now a way of chatting to people, the way these things keep moving. Very few who are into paddleboarding, but some who are into paddleboarding. If you're in Scotland, paddleboarding is cold. You definitely need a wetsuit, at least any time other than high summer. Reading a novel you can do all year round, similarly for watching Netflix. But it looks like we've got a good balance of preferences here. Alistair, do you have to take a picture of the words you want to say? You mean, I think you can just type them in. But I'm not absolutely sure. Never tried it. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Which do you prefer? Tea, coffee, smoothie, or fizzy drink? So the fizzy drink that everyone has in Edinburgh is Iron Brew, which is allegedly made from girders. It's bright orange and it rots your teeth. Hard choice again, Gabrielle. Tea and crumpet, says Elif. Bubble tea. Oh yes, there's a very good bubble tea shop near here. And I have a coffee machine on my desk, just to my right, out of the camera. So again, the PPLS postgraduate community is split. It's a reasonably even split between tea and coffee, with coffee coming out the clear winner at the moment. Fewer people into smoothies and fizzy drinks. Yeah, Iron Brew is very much an acquired taste. Some people like it. I have never managed to acquire a taste for it. I've been here 29 years and I'm still not really convinced by it. Okay, next question. Probably equally controversial. If you could stop one thing from happening, what would you stop? Your mobile phone running out of battery, having to tell the group a fact about yourself, dripping taps, or people who chew with their mouths open? Okay, I can see lots of people dislike other people who chew with their mouths open, but almost as many people hate having to tell the group a fact about yourself. Let's hope there's not too much of that in Welcome Week. Relatively few people are bothered by dripping taps. I've got to admit that's one that really annoys me. Alistair's warning people that if you hear a Scot say juice, they probably mean Iron Brew. Ashlyn's got a screaming tap. Yes, I've got one of those as well. Okay, the mobile phones are coming up on the outside. But I think we have a consensus that most people are most bothered by people who chew with their mouths open. Okay, next question. This is a Scottish themed question. Have you ever, and you can pick more than one, eaten haggis, climbed Arthur's Seat, that's our local mountain, watched train spotting, and or been to Loch Ness, where you may have seen the Loch Ness monster? Okay, lots of people have watched train spotting. Lots of people have climbed Arthur's Seat. There are always people on the top of Arthur's Seat. Whatever time of day it is, whatever the weather, there are people on the top of Arthur's Seat, which is actually an extinct volcano. Well done, Laura and Tori, for having done all 4 of them. And an surprisingly large number of you have eaten haggis. There are both meat versions and vegetarian versions of haggis. It's probably a bad thing to say, but I think the vegetarian version is far superior. Yeah, real haggis, I've got to admit, it's kind of an acquired taste. Gabrielle asks, what's haggis? Haggis is made up of the bits of sheep that nobody wants to eat inside a sheep's stomach. The vegetarian version is made of lentils and spices. Thank you, Tony. Tony has posted a Wikipedia link to haggis. Check it out, Gabrielle. If you know what's inside it, you're less likely to eat it. You can find it in supermarkets everywhere, Eric, in Edinburgh. It's one of the national dishes of Scotland, but is that a good thing? Probably not. Okay, so most people have watched Train Spotting. A lot of people have climbed Arthur's Seat, surprisingly large number. An even more surprising number, from my point of view, it's surprising, have eaten haggis. Fewer have been to Loch Ness. Let's move on to one that's slightly more palatable. Which of these Scottish foods have you tried? A tatty scone, a Tunnock's tea cake, stovies, or again haggis? So a tatty scone is a small flat thing made out of potato, which is fried up and eaten with a Scottish breakfast. A Tunnock's tea cake is kind of a biscuit or cookie with marshmallow on top covered in chocolate. Stovies, I've no idea what. I'm still not sure what stovies are. Tony, can you clarify what stovies are? Or Katie? And haggis we've already talked about. Max, I'm sorry if we're making you hungry. Stovies is kind of sliced potato, and thank you. Tony has very helpfully posted the Wikipedia link to what stovies are. Okay, so haggis is still coming out just about as the winner. But people are saying that Tunnock's tea cakes are close behind, and Richard is pointing out that Tunnock's wafers are even better. Stovies apparently are very nice. I've never eaten them, but my friends who eat them say they're really good. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How are you feeling about starting at the University of Edinburgh? Okay, so people are saying they're excited, nervous, stoked, anxious, bit scared but excited, hyped. Yes, Tori, you're welcome here. You're welcome to be in this meeting. Some people are saying it's strange studying remotely. Excited and hopeful. It's great. I'm seeing lots of excited. That's good. And I'm also seeing some nervous and apprehensive. That's also absolutely fine and understandable. So I think the most common one is excited. Somebody's mentioning imposter syndrome. Feeling, am I meant to be here or not? Some people saying wonderful. That's good to hear. So lots and lots of exciteds in there. Okay, can we move on to the last question? So this is the last question in the Menti. What are you looking forward to most about starting at the University of Edinburgh, or in Tori's case, returning to the University of Edinburgh, and anybody else who's here for returning students? That's great to see. People are excited about learning, about meeting new friends. Being a full-time nerd, you're going to meet your people here. Research, making friends, fellow students, academic community. Independence, linguistics, learning philosophy. So there's lots about learning, there's lots about meeting new people, research, Still people typing in answers. That's great. Okay, so Megan, can we move back onto the presentation? Okay, so we've just been finding out about how you're all feeling about starting at Edinburgh and what it is that you're most excited about. And I can see that some of you are excited, some of you are nervous, some of you are feeling uncertain about the forthcoming days, weeks, months. And that is all absolutely normal and absolutely understandable. So first of all, what I want to do is pay tribute to you all for your resilience in making it here. We've all been through an unprecedented time over the last few months, and you in particular have been through an incredibly difficult and challenging time. Many of you will have had your education disrupted. You've not been able to see friends. There may have been uncertainty about whether you would be able to travel, uncertainty about where you might be living, uncertainty about what it will be like this year. Starting a postgrad degree is always an adventure in a normal year, and this is very much not a normal year. And first of all, I want to reassure you that we will do whatever we can to support you throughout your time with us. We know that things will be different this year. We can't do things in the way that we usually do in order to make sure that we all stay safe and that we're all secure. And that does mean we can't do everything that we would like to do, but we have been working very hard since this whole situation started to make sure that we give you the best experience that we can, given all the constraints we're under, and that we can respond as quickly as we can as the situation changes. So our primary concern here is to give you the best learning experience that we can. Now, some things will go wrong. Of course, things always go wrong, but we are committed to giving you the best experience we can, whatever the situation is, however it might change. There's all kinds of support that will be available to you this year, and we'll come on to that later in the meeting. And there'll be plenty of opportunity to ask questions too. So as I said, some things will be different this year, but what isn't different is that you're joining a very special university and a very special school, and a university with a very long history. So our proud claim is that we've been influencing the world since 1583, when we admitted our first students. Now, at that point, it was all men, but we're very proud of the fact that Edinburgh was the first British university to accept women as undergraduates 150 years ago this year. So allowing for a couple of breaks because of the Black Plague, for example. So we've already successfully come through one global pandemic and Bonnie Prince Charlie's rebellion. That means you're joining around 480 cohorts of students before you. And we're all extremely proud of our students and what they've gone on to achieve. So our previous students who've come from all over the world to become part of our community include the scientists Charles Darwin, James Clerk Maxwell and Sheila Tinney, the medics Wong Fun, Gertrude Hertzfeld and James Young Simpson, social reformers like Florence Nwapa, Lim Boon Keng, Bandele Omaniyi and Ruth Adler, and authors such as Yuan Chang Ying and Sarojini Naidu. 3 of the UK's prime ministers are former students, although that may not be something to be proud of. And we've had 9 other heads of state and government as Edinburgh graduates, and no fewer than 3 signatories to the US Declaration of Independence. We also have 23 Nobel Prize winners associated with the university, including Peter Higgs of Higgs boson fame most recently. So you're becoming part of a community with a lot to be proud of, and we're very proud of what our former students have gone on to do. But we're also extremely proud of what our current students are doing, both in their studies and in their contribution to the diverse and inclusive community that we enjoy here. And what I really want to emphasize is that each one of you is a very welcome and a very valued member of this community. As a university, our mission is to discover, develop and share knowledge. And I hope that you will make the most of the opportunities here to discover, develop and share knowledge. The people who will be teaching you are experts in their field and are passionate about what they do. We're all delighted you've joined our community and we want to inspire and challenge you. The way in which we're teaching you this year may be different in some ways, but the expertise that we have is the same, and we will make sure that we share that knowledge and expertise with you. So I'd really like to encourage you to participate and get involved. Now, one way that you can do this is through our student societies. We have 4 of these, 1 for each of our subject areas, and these offer an opportunity for people who are interested in their subject to get together for peer support outside a purely academic context. And these student communities, student societies, along with the interdisciplinary PPLS Student Societies Society, are running a series of events throughout the year, and in particular during Welcome Week, to which you're all very welcome. They bring together undergraduates and postgraduates. So this week, we have the PhilSoc Meet the Committee, which is today. You've missed the 11 a.m., but you can make the 7 p.m. Meeting. PsychSoc Meet and Greet. There's one this evening at 7 p.m. LingSoc Meet and Greet tomorrow at 11 and 7, and CogSciSoc on the 17th at 4. So choose whichever time suits you best for the ones where there's an option, and there's information on the events app that you may have downloaded, or they also have, I'll show you a Twitter, an Instagram handle in a moment, so you can follow them on social media, and that will allow you to work out how to join these meetings. So the Interdisciplinary Society is designed to bring together all 4 societies and foster a greater sense of community within PPLS. They're running a bunch of events as well, and one of these is taking place on Friday. That's the PPLS Student Society online pub quiz, which is hosted, as I said, by all 4 societies together. That's on Friday at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. BST to allow for people who might be in different time zones. So just go to one of those, pick whichever slot works best for you. And that will put you into a random team so you can meet new people. You don't have to have any prior knowledge of PPLS subjects. Their Instagram is at PPLS Student Societies. And Tony has also put into the chat a link to the societies that can be found on the PPLS Postgraduate Hub. So do get involved with the societies. So that's the end of my part of the welcome. I'll be back at the very end to talk a little bit about how we keep you safe. But now I want to hand over to Mitz, our postgraduate director, who's going to take you through some of the support that's available to you. So I'll hand over to Mitz at this point.
Hello, can you see me?
Yes, and we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Right. Hello, everyone. My name is Mitz Ota, and I am the director of the postgraduate studies in PPLS. So that means I oversee the academic side of our postgraduate operations. And I am ably supported by my deputy director, Alistair Isaac. Alistair, can you show your face to everyone?
I'm trying. I'm trying.
Right.
I'm trying.
We can see you now. So that's Alistair. You probably saw his name on the chat box. He was furiously commenting on Holly's explanations about different things. Right. So first of all, I would like to welcome all of you to PPLS. I'm so glad to see many of you being able to join us today from all over the world. It's so exciting to see you all. Secondly, I am going to tell you about one of the most important points of contact for you, and that's our postgraduate office. This is going to be your main point of contact for everything regarding your program of study. They are going to give you the administrative support for all our postgraduate courses and programs, and they also coordinate our programs across the school so that everything is done consistently. And more importantly, they are the people who will provide you with student support. So if you have any question that you don't know who to ask about, any questions that you don't know who to ask, you can contact them, and they would either directly tell you what they know about, or they can redirect you to the people or place that you should be in touch with. Okay, so that office has a team, a super efficient team, headed by our head of postgraduate administration, Katie Kelty, whose face should pop up soon.
Hello, everyone.
All right, everyone, that's Katie. So in addition to managing the team, Katie is directly involved in PhD administration and admissions and student support. So if you have any questions about PhD, Katie is one of the people that you can ask. Next, we have Tony. Tony Noble, who has been sending you useful Wikipedia links. That's her with the cat.
It's not letting me show my face, unfortunately, but hello.
Right, that's Tony. And Tony is in charge of the MSc in psychology and LEL. She also deals with admissions, and she is also a student support officer. Next, we have Becky Verdon. Becky, are you there?
Hello, can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Hi.
That's Becky. So Becky is in charge of the MSc in philosophy and also the online programs. She's also the assessment coordinator. So if you have questions about assignments and things like that, you'll probably hear from her. And she is also a student support officer. Last but not least, our newest member of the office is Henry Barnett. That's him, Henry. Thank you. Henry is also in charge of PhD, including administration, admissions, and student support. So he assists Katie in that area. So you may, if you're a PhD student, you may also hear from Henry as well. Oops, sorry. So remember that email address, PPLS, PG office, that's going to be your point of contact for your day-to-day stuff about the programs or courses that you're in. Just send them an email. Despite what I said about their areas of specialization, they know everything about the postgraduate stuff. So one of them will get back to you immediately. I would like to mention a couple of useful sources for help and support. And one is the Institution of Academic Development, or IAD. IAD gives you academic skill support. So if you go to the website, you'll see lots of useful tips, advice, and downloadable fact sheets. They also run very useful workshops and courses for academic support. And in particular, I should mention that they run transition courses for postgraduate students. There's one for taught students and one for PhD students. I highly recommend those courses. And finally, the university has a one-stop place to look up any kind of help that you're looking for. It's called EdHelp. And our university has a lot of student services, but sometimes it's difficult to know where to go. This is where you should go. It will tell you which service you should seek assistance, information, or help there. Okay, so that's all from me, and I'm going to hand this back to Holly. Before I go, I should say I very much look forward to seeing you either in person or online. And best of luck with your studies.
Thank you, Mitz. So there's going to be an opportunity at the end to ask questions from Mitz and Katie as relevant. But last of all, before we move on to that, I just want to say something about keeping us all safe and well, and about about what we can all do to make sure that everybody stays safe and well. So we've made substantial adaptations to our buildings to make sure that everybody in our community is kept healthy. So these include things like having separate entrances and exits for buildings, having one-way routes about buildings, having more frequent cleaning, hand sanitizer everywhere. Lots and lots of really quite garish and overwhelming signs about helping you maintain physical distance. We have limited numbers of people in rooms and in buildings and so on. What I want to stress is that we are all part of a community and we all have a responsibility to keep everyone in our community safe. Some members of our community, students and staff, may be in higher risk categories. This may be because they're older or because they have underlying health conditions which may not be visible. So it's vital that we all do our part. One aspect of that is that everybody is expected to wear face coverings when in university buildings, and you must do so in study areas and libraries unless you're exempt. So remember that your mask protects others and their masks protect you. So please do use your face masks. It does make it more difficult to recognize people. If you want to know what I look like with a mask on, it's like that. But it is important that we wear face masks and face coverings as relevant. It's also important that people respect the guidance around social gatherings. So social gatherings are limited to no more than 6 people from no more than 2 households, indoors or outdoors. These rules are in place to protect us all, so please do everything you can to keep everyone in our community safe. One other thing is that we would like to recommend that everybody who's here in Edinburgh downloads the NHS Protect Scotland app. This will alert you if you've been in close contact with another app user who's tested positive. It doesn't store or share any personal information or track your location, but by doing it, you'll help stop the spread of the virus in Edinburgh and in Scotland. Please do your bit to be kind and thoughtful to keep us all safe. Okay. I just want to finish by saying how delighted I am, along with everybody else in PPLS, to welcome you to PPLS and the University of Edinburgh. We are here to welcome and support you, and we look forward to getting to know you this year. Welcome to our community. And now we'll be very happy to answer your questions. So for questions, please do just use the raise hand, and then we will ask you to type your name in things. So Celine, would you like to type your question into the chat box? Thank you. And Alana, next, if you just type your question into the chat box. And Tori. So I'm going to hand over to Mitz for, I think, probably most of the questions. Mitz and Katie will be in a better position to answer. So hand over to Katie and Mitz. Tori, you're next.
Hi, yeah, the timetable depends on the course that you're taking. So the best place to check is the course learn page. You should be able to access, if you have signed up for a course, you should be able to access the learn page for that course. And each learn page will tell you whether there are any timetabled activities for that particular course. Some of the courses that we're teaching this year may not have any timetabled activities. They may all be online asynchronous activities, but you will find out if there are any timetabled activities from the learn page.
Okay, the next question was Alana asking about any information on the library reopening and study spaces. Mitz, do you want to take that?
I'm afraid I don't know.
Okay, so just to give some information, the library is currently open. It does have some study space, but obviously the study space is currently limited. The university is opening up new study spaces over the next 2 weeks. There are some that are just becoming available, and there will be an app, Ilana, that you will be able to use to book study space. I hope that helps. Yerji, would you like to type your question into the question box, and then Matthew? Tori asked about the IAD website address. I've put that into the chat. Laura is asking when people receive their student IDs. I can't answer that, I'm afraid. Okay. Lilith has asked about, can somebody answer the question about, Katie, would you be able to answer the question about student IDs?
I'm not actually sure about student IDs at the moment. These are all issued centrally. I believe they will be posted out to students. But in terms of invoicing, that should come through your MyEd. So you should receive an invoice, but I think they're doing it in batches, and it depends on when your student record was actually created as to when your invoice will arrive on your MyEd account.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just checking, is trying to follow the questions in the chat. I'm just trying to check which questions we haven't yet answered. Tuition fees, have we covered that? Sorry, it's difficult to keep track. Okay, so Katie's dealt with that. Mitz, do you want to answer some of the questions about on campus about the meetings with the personal tutors, offline seminars and workshops?
Yeah, I'm trying to backtrack. I see the question about offline workshops and seminars. Yes, there would be some offline seminars and workshops. Some of them are related part of the course that you're taking, and you would get that information from Learn. Some of them are going to be extra course seminars that are run by research groups or the school or subject area. That information you'll be able to find on our school website, PPLS school website. There is a section where all the scheduled seminars and talks will be announced.
Okay, Lucas is asking, Mitz, looking at the timetable, some of the fully online modules show a building and room where it would be recorded. Does that mean if regulations allow on-campus students would be able to see recordings in person?
Yeah, I'm confused about that. Lucas, can you tell me which particular course you're talking about, or modules?
While Lucas is typing that, Bonan is asking when are PhD students going back to offices and when? That's something we're looking at the moment. We're looking at how we can provide PhD study space. The problem is to do with the limited numbers of people that we can have in buildings. But PhD space is one of our top priorities. We're looking into that. We would hope to be able to provide some more information within the next couple of weeks, I would hope. But we are definitely looking at that. Juan, do you want to type in your question? Lilith is asking which platforms will be used for the courses. Some platforms don't work well in China due to restrictions. The main platform that we will be learning is via Learn, so it will be Blackboard, Collaborate, and that should work well in China. Mitz, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, sorry, I was going to answer Lucas's questions about epistemology. Yep. That is actually an in-person meeting that will be held in a pretty large auditorium. So that is a scheduled activity.
Yes,
and then Tony, thank you for pointing out that yes, that is for people who are able to be on campus.
Did you have anything you wanted to add about the platforms that we'll be using for courses, Mitz? So I was saying that we're doing things via Blackboard, Collaborate, which should be available in China straightforwardly.
Yes. So our main tool for online interaction will be something called Collaborate, which is a part of the Learn environment. So if you can access Learn, you should not have any problem accessing Collaborate. And
in fact, we're in Collaborate at the moment, Lilith. This is a Collaborate indeed, meeting. Yes. Jane asks, when can I matriculate? Has that question been answered? Sorry.
Yeah, I've just
okay, that one's been answered.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Juan has a question about paying tuition fees. Katie, do you want to answer that one? So Juan asks whether tuition fees can be paid by installments. And then Zach, do you want to type in your question?
Yes, hello. I was feverishly typing at the same time. Tony's actually provided a link a little bit further up the chat box, which includes information about fees and finance. So all of the information about paying your fees is available on the finance web pages. So if you have a look there, and as I said before, you should have received an invoice or will be receiving an invoice through your MyEd account, which will include all of the information about when it's due and who to contact about arranging payment.
Okay, Zach is asking about how starting PhD students audit courses?
So for PhD students who are interested in auditing courses, you're more than welcome to do so in most cases. What you need to do is just check with the course organizer that they are able to welcome auditors. There's some courses that for good reason they're unable to welcome auditors. So if you find some courses that you're interested in, contact the relevant course organizer, and as soon as they say yes, that's fine, then email our office and we will add that course to your record so that you have access to all of the materials, etc. It's a good idea for PhD students to also talk to their supervisors about it, because you want to not to balance out your workload and not get too distracted as well. So have a conversation with your supervisors about that.
Okay, Gilly is asking about how MSc by research students pick their modules and or dissertation options. Should they contact their supervisors?
Yes, so we will be talking about this in the PGR induction session that's happening on Thursday. But yes, for MSc by research students, similarly, you should have a conversation with your supervisors about your project and the direction of travel for that, and they'll be able to help you identify any modules that are relevant to you, and also to select the method that you're going to complete your program by. So you can either do 100% dissertation, or you can do 40 credits of coursework plus a slightly shorter dissertation. So that's something that you will have a conversation with your supervisor about, and you'll just confirm that, and then we can get you registered appropriately.
Okay, Alana asks, are the PT meetings going to happen this week? I haven't been enrolled on. Okay, Mitz has already answered that question. So Mitz is saying that the PT meetings should be happening this week unless your PT tells you otherwise. Ming asks, when can I get CAS?
So for your CAS, anything to do with visas, your confirmation of acceptance to study, which is the CAS, or anything related to student immigration, you really need to talk to our student immigration service about that. The reason is that regulations change often, and we want to make sure that you're getting the most up-to-date information. And so we in the school are unable to advise you directly about visa and immigration issues. In terms of your CAS, you can request one through your student record when you're able to do so. So that should be an option for you through your student record. But again, as Tony's just posted, the Student Immigration Service will have all of that information for you.
Okay, Mari asked, do we need a UK bank account?
If you're based in the UK, so if you're going to be living here, then yes, it would be a good idea for you to have a UK bank account, and particularly when you get to the dissertation element of your degree, you may well want to apply for some funds to help you, and we need a UK bank account to be able to transfer those funds. Also, if you're paying rent or bills in the UK, then it's much more straightforward if you have a UK bank account.
Okay, Lassa has asked, as new PhD students, where can we find the possible courses we might be able to audit?
Okay, so I think there's a link a little bit further up to something called the DRPS. Let's put that in. That's the Degree Regulations and Programme of Study page of the university, and Tony's just provided it as well. So you can browse through all of the courses available in our school and actually in other schools as well, and you'll be able to find learning outcomes, course organizer information, etc. on there as well. Level 11 courses are MSc courses.
That's good. Yeah, don't worry, this information, it's very hard to keep track of everything. Can I still opt to pay by instalments if my invoice has already been generated on my finance?
Okay, Sam, you're going to need to talk to the finance department about that. They'll be able to tell you exactly what your options are. I understand that they're a little bit slower on answering emails right now because, as you can imagine, they're dealing with loads and loads of inquiries, but they will get back to you as soon as they can.
Okay, Jing is asking, how should I contact my PT? Is it okay to send an email, or they saw a platform on which they could request a meeting with their PT? Should they use the platform to make a request first?
You can do either, as Tony's putting in. You will be meeting with your PTs this week. You can email them, or you can request a meeting through your Euclid record. Your personal tutors will be able to let you know how they prefer once you've had that initial meeting with them.
Lilith asks, if I reach Edinburgh in October, will my online courses be affected by travelling? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Lilith. Would you like to type a kind of bit more of an explanation of that, and we'll come back to that, if that's okay. Gilly, do you want to type in your question as well? Oh, right, so you've already done so, sorry. Raphael is asking, is TransferWise enough as a digital bank account?
Actually, do not know. Raphael, if you can email us, then we can find the answer for you. Yeah, if you email the office, we can have a look at that for you.
Okay, Giddy says, if I was granted a scholarship from the university for tuition fees, how does that affect my payment?
If you've been granted a scholarship, then you won't be invoiced for tuition fees. It'll be paid directly into the university, unless you've been given a scholarship from an external source where they're paying you, and the expectation is that you pay the university. But if you've been granted a university scholarship, then you don't need to worry about your tuition fees, they'll be covered. And if you have any issues with invoices being raised when you think that you've got a scholarship, then let us know. But it can be a little bit of a mismatch in timing with the record.
Okay. Okay, I think Mitch has answered Lilith's question and Jane's question. So Celine, do you want to type in your question? And then Mohammed as well. Okay, Yuyo is asking, is it okay if I complete the international check-in later after I arrive in Edinburgh in October or November? It worries me because it appears I can't get fully matriculated without finishing this step.
Because you're not here currently, you'll only do the check-in once you actually arrive in the UK. But I would query about whether or not, when you registered, did you say you were going to be in Edinburgh? Because that might have meant that there was a button on your record. Again, if you can email us in the office, then we can have a look at that for you and look at your specific records and trying to get to the bottom of that for you.
Okay. Mitch has answered Lilith's question. Okay, Jane needs the link to be sent again. Ellie's asking, how do we access our timetables for modules we're enrolled on? I think Mitch has already answered this, but again, Mitch, do you want to just repeat that?
Sorry, yeah. You should go to your course learn page, and you will find that information there. Another way to do it is to look up the course on DRIPS that we mentioned before, DRPS at ACUK. If there are any timetabled activities, that they should be on that information as well. But I think just to be sure, you probably want to check the learn page as well in case there are updates that are not reflected on DRIPS.
Celine is asking, do we have to sign up for tutorials? And if so, how do we sign up?
So that will really depend on the course and how it's being organised. Our postgraduate courses tend to be a bit smaller, and so they won't necessarily have tutorials in the same way as an undergraduate larger course would. So if you have a look on the Learn pages for the courses that you're enrolled in, you'll be able to find the information that's specific to that, about whether or not you need to sign up to specific groups or if you're all in one group.
Okay. So I'm just trying to find it. Will we have matriculation certificates available by the end of this week?
Yes, so as soon as you're fully matriculated and you've confirmed your attendance, then you should be able to download a certificate of matriculation from your student record. If you have any issues with that, or if the letter itself doesn't include the information that you need, then if you email us in the office, then we can write a letter for you. Sometimes landlords, etc., need specific information isn't generated by the general letter. So if you need anything specific, then let us know. But that you should tip to being fully matriculated by the end of the week.
Mary asks, I have funding from SAS which covers half my tuition fees, so I only need to pay tuition fees from January on when the other instalments are due.
With that, I would recommend, again, I'm really sorry I keep saying this, but if you look at the finance channel, they'll be able to advise you on that. Specifically with the SAS loans, the scholarships and funding team will be able to give you specific advice on how that works.
And I think, Mohammed, that also applies to your question about fee payments for external scholarships. The finance channel is the place to go. Great. Any more questions? If you do have questions, feel free to, Glenn, type your question in the text box. Thank you. Don asks, how do we access the required or suggested course readings?
Are you going to take that, Miz?
Mrs. just replied, that will be on Learn. Learn is often the answer. Glenn had a question as well. Other disc golfers, I wouldn't be surprised, Glenn. You can see whether anybody says yes in the chat box, but I'm pretty sure I've seen them out on the meadows, our local park. But if there are any fellow disc golfers, please say yes in the chat box. If not, there will be somebody in the Edinburgh community. We have about 30,000 students, no, 40,000 students, so I'm sure there will be others out there. Don's saying he's found the titles for many, there are no links.
Yeah, so Don, I suggest that you check with the course organizer. It's either that they're about to put in the links, or they are expecting you to look them up yourself. So you probably want to just clarify that with them.
Any other things that you'd like to know? So Ross asks, how can we keep up with news about current research within PPLS, and are there suggested ways to interact with others from different courses and different levels of education within PPLS? Mitz, do you want to come in there?
Sorry, I'm just reading that.
Sorry.
Right, yeah. So I think one of the good ways to do this is to check out all the seminars and workshops and research group meetings that are happening in our school, and just attend those. Anything that you're interested in, contact them to see that, tell them that you're interested in a particular topic, and yeah, just join them. You can shop around, and you will probably find something that you're interested in by accident sometimes.
Okay, Tori, please type your question in. Valentina says, I'm arriving in Edinburgh in mid-October and I don't have my visa yet. Can I start the matriculation process? If so, when will I get contacted by the department to do so? Katie?
Yes, so once you've got your student record in place, so you've accepted your unconditional offer, then you'll be able to start the online registration process. When you're talking about your visa, obviously that you need to talk to the Student Immigration Service about to make sure that your timing is correct in terms of your travel, but you should have already been contacted for the registration online and attend your induction this week in order to complete that process.
Okay. Jamie asks, is the online induction ostensibly our meeting with our tutor?
Yeah, so what you're going to have is there's a sort of welcome to the subject area session generally, so that you'll get an opportunity to meet some of the academics specific to your subject area, and then there will be a program induction session where that's going to be led by the program director. During that session, you will be the personal tutors will then have a breakout room for the students that are going to be belonging to them, and at that point you might have a conversation around your course choices at that point, but it's likely that they will tell you how to schedule a one-to-one meeting with them so that you can have a proper discussion.
Tori asks, how do we find out whether the course we want to audit is online or face-to-face?
It'll be available on the Learn page. I think, Tori. I think most of the stuff initially, anyway, is going to be online. So anything that's face to face will be highlighted and is usually going to be a sort of over and above on our postgraduate courses.
Any more questions? Alana? And Tim's asking about the class schedules. That's the timetabling question again, I think, Mitz. I'm just trying to see if that information is up there. So, Tim, I think that there'll be, I suspect Mitz is actually typing an answer at the moment. Alana's asking, if I don't get my student ID by next week, will I be able to access libraries and study spaces that require the card? Katie?
I actually can't say for definite an answer to that. I would hope that you do get your student identification in time for that. Ordinarily, the library will allow, if you can show that you're on the system, then they'll be able to give you some access to it. But I will have to double check, Alana. I don't want to say yes for definite and then for you to experience that it's not, breaking in, perhaps. Maybe not. But yeah, we'll find out for you and get back to you.
Where can we print documents, says Don?
So at the moment, there isn't, everything's going to be online, so you wouldn't really need to be printing documents. There is usually printing options available in the library as well, if you are on campus, and presumably there will be a similar service available for those students that are online, on campus rather, just now.
Any more questions? We've still got a few minutes left on this call if there's anything else you'd like to ask. People are thinking. Well, if you do think of anything afterwards and you suddenly think, oh, I should have asked X, you know who the people that you can ask are, and everybody will be very happy to help you with information. So the PG office will be able to help you in the first place with anything that you might need to know. And if they can't tell you, they'll be able to direct you to the right place to ask. Tony's just posted a link in that you can use for further queries. Tori's asked what she needs to do to fully matriculate as a continuing PhD student. I think that's the contact details page. Okay, so Tony's given the contact details. If you've got any further questions, just use those contact details. And also remember that generic queries, the EdHelp website has got a lot of information there. It kind of brings information together. Okay, so in the absence of further questions, I think Tony will be able to answer that. Oh, dedicated space for postgrad PPLS students. We are working on dedicated space for our PGR students at the moment. That's our research students. That's something that we will be coming out with information about as soon as we've managed to finalise that, but we need to work on that. For MSc students at the moment, we would be directing those towards the general university study spaces. And as I said, those are being opened up, kind of additional study spaces becoming available. There will be an app that can be used to book those spaces. Okay. So it just remains then for me to say thank you all for joining this call. You're very, very welcome. And I hope you enjoy your time with us. We're looking forward to getting to know you. Take care and hope to see you soon. Bye.